How you doing? My name is Kevin Bennett, and I'm owner and operator of Gifted Apparel NYC, an urban streetwear brand, and I am an urban professional.
So, Kevin, what was your inspiration between starting the clothing line, and where did you get the name Gifted Apparel from?
The inspiration came from a cousin of mine. It was originally his idea. He came to me about starting a t-shirt brand, and I partnered up with him. Eventually, he decided that it was just something that was just a good idea at the moment. I took a liking to it. I fell in love with it, so I continued to go. The name Gifted Apparel came from, I don't know, growing up, my mother used to always call me Gifted, and it's literally the first thing that popped into my head when it was time to look and find a name.
And you have a lot of really cool sayings. Like, I'm wearing a t-shirt right now called Handsome Man Problems. And I mean, it could be unisex. A guy could wear it.
Yeah.
A girl, when I wear it, people are like, what does that mean? I'm like, ask these handsome men around here. Like, I'm a problem, like, you know? So where do you come up with these things? You have a lot of great sayings. Protect your queen. Like, where does all that come from?
I don't know, from books, from me living, from television, movies, conversation. My partner says I've hardwired my brain to everything is a t-shirt. I'm always listening out for a t-shirt concept, whether I'm having a conversation at a bar or just watching a show. If I hear a few choice words, it'll either string itself together into a shirt, or I'll take that concept and keep it, and then later on it may turn into something. But I'm always on the look for a dope concept that's original, that's not everywhere else, or something that another brand is using.
What did you do before you decided to go into this t-shirt business, this apparel?
Before Gifted Apparel, I was the night manager of a homeless shelter,
Wow.
which is a very, very rough job. In case you don't know, the shelter system is rough. And before that, I was at the Gap for almost 10 years. I have a lot of retail experience, which I use a lot of what I learned from the Gap in the way I run my business now.
So what made you take the leap from doing a regular job to doing your own thing?
We had developed a level of popularity locally, and it got to the point where I had to make a decision. This is either something that I'm doing, or I'm gonna have to take a step back. There's no middle ground once you reach a certain place. And we were doing enough business where I had to start asking myself that question, like, is this something that I'm gonna really continue to do with the rest of my life, or am I gonna dedicate myself to the job I was currently at? And I chose this.
What were some steps that you took in order to get on this road to entrepreneurship from a 9 to 5? Oftentimes, those that are born into poverty or low income or urban areas, we don't have nepotism.
Yeah.
We do not have the manual, so to speak, especially when you started out with this line. It was social media was early in developing. What path did you take, or how did you go about gaining information in order to shoot up through the ranks?
Well, I had a lot of sales experience. I was a street vendor for a long time back in the day, 34th Street, Rockefeller Center.
Wow.
And I've always had a mind for business, and like I said, then I worked at the Gap, so I had a lot of sales and retail experience. The first thing I did was I put together an exit strat. You can't just quit your job. You have responsibilities, you have bills, kids. Some people have kids. So I had like a few dollars in a 401k. And I think I had some money in a health insurance policy. I had some savings. I had just did my taxes. I have a child, so you do your taxes, you get that big check. Yeah.
And instead of buying clothes, you bought a clothing line that you could sell.
Yeah. I mean, I've never really been the type to spend money recklessly. So, I told myself, all right, well, let me take this money that I have, which I thought was a lot at the moment, and it was gone in like 8 months. But, I took that money that I had, and I said, all right, well, it's time to take this thing seriously and take it to the next level and see if it's something that I can manage. And luckily it worked out.
So what I'm hearing is that you didn't just do this ad hoc. You came up with a plan, and then you used finances that you had saved in order to invest in yourself and in your business so that you can operate through the long run and was able to leave your job in order to do
Yeah.
so. You didn't just say, hey, I'm out. This is, you know, like what Kanye kind of puts out there, like, I'm quitting school, I'm becoming a producer, I'm out. And speaking of Kanye, he always talks about discrimination in the fashion industry.
Mm-hmm.
Did you face any sorts of discrimination dealing with maybe vendors? I know a lot of times apparel owners have to go out and get these blanks.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any problems doing that as a black man entrepreneur?
No, I mean, I don't get just different levels of fashion. I'm in urban streetwear. It's not really the same as like high fashion. You know, when it's time to get started, as long as you have a direction where you want to go, there's, in my personal experience, there were very few things that kind of stood in my way to get started. You know, you just make sure and set up the right wholesale accounts, and you know where you're getting your merchandise produced, and just going forth. The neighborhood, I'm from Brooklyn, I'm from Bed-Stuy. The neighborhood embraced what me and my partners were doing, and we put a lot of hard work in, and people respect that. When you know, because in the beginning the stuff wasn't the greatest, just to let you know, but people still gave their money and helped push the product forward. So that was definitely a good one on our end.
Cool. What was the first T-shirt that you guys put out, and what's your favorite now?
The first design I ever did was the Viva La Brooklyn shirt.
Yeah, and that was everywhere.
Yeah, and that was everywhere. And it was so, I don't have any design experience, to be honest with you. I taught myself Photoshop over the years, but I didn't have any design experience. My cousin was the designer, the graphic designer in reality. So when I took over, I had to figure things out on my own. And the first thing I did was the Viva La Brooklyn design, and it blew my mind. I thought people were laughing at it at first, because I made it and I started wearing it. And you know, I'd be walking down the street and I kept seeing people looking at it and like kind of commenting on it. And in the beginning, the first week or two, I thought people were laughing at it. I felt very insecure about it, and it's still my favorite. The Viva La Brooklyn is still my favorite. It's where the brand that I took over really started from. I love that shirt.
So Justin speaks a lot about the fact that education doesn't equate to institutionalized training. So I really like that you brought up that this was self-taught.
Yeah.
This is not something that you necessarily went to school for and had to get like a degree for. This is something that you was able to teach yourself and succeed, and I think that's dope.
I mean, well, we live in a day and age now where everything is online. You know, we have tools like YouTube where you could punch in, you want to learn how to do something that's not like hyper technical. You can't go on YouTube and be a doctor, but you can go on YouTube and learn how to learn how to use Photoshop or Illustrator. You could pretty much go to social media and learn anything you want to learn. So I just took advantage of it. I was an adult before social media, so I remember having to go to the library to do a project, and the idea of being able to just punch something in and getting the answer is, you know, to me, it's one of the greatest things to ever happen to us. So I take full advantage of it.
All right. So as a boss and somebody who works hard, there are ways that we have to protect ourselves so that we can continue to move forward and, you know, strive to be our best every day. What are some like self-care tips that you could give people that you use? How do you invest in yourself and keep yourself grounded?
Well, I have a very big family. That's one. I'm surrounded by my family, my daughter. Keeping good people around you. Giving yourself the opportunity to. I take a lot of personal time. Like, you know, I spend a lot of time with myself, and I think that's important. You don't want to get caught up just constantly being around other people all the time, because that stuff does affect you, and it can affect you, and it can affect you in a positive way too, but it also can affect you in a negative way. So I spend a lot of time with my family, with close friends, and just honestly just keep my head down and try and be as positive as possible, because at any point, you know, this can all end. So I just focus on moving forward, and I look at what I've done, and I do feel proud of it. My family is very proud of me, and that makes me proud. So those are some of the things that really, that's to me, that's the real core that keeps me grounded, is my family.
And you're out of Brooklyn.
Yeah, Bed-Stuy.
And you have a pretty huge following. You know, I look on the IG, I see celebs rocking your stuff all the time. A lot of people, due to Instagram and this whole like urban entrepreneur, young entrepreneur, and your roots, do you have a lot of people that come to you and ask you for help from Brooklyn, and how do you approach that, or how do you handle that?
I'll help anybody who asks. I get DMs. People DM me. Sometimes, it feels like people who I know personally, they may want to ask for help, but they don't. For a lot of different reasons, I can imagine. One of them, people automatically assume I'm busy. I am busy. I'm very busy, but, if if I have time to sit down and talk with somebody or just answer some questions, over email or social media, I will. I do tend to get more strangers who ask me for help than people who I actually know. And, if anybody has any questions, I might not be able to get to it that very second, but I always take my time out to help anybody who has questions, especially about this type of business, because that's what we're here for, man. If you're not helping, then what are you doing?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up. Justin and I always talk about this idea of nepotism and why it's so hard for the urban professional to grow rapidly. It's because, like, unbeknownst to us, there's still a crabs in a barrel mentality. So we're all having these dope networking events, but no one's really sharing wealth of information. People are just like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm the shit. You doing what? Like, it's more so like going off at the resume, and we are afraid to ask one another for help and share resources. So I'm glad that you brought that up. We like to give tips to urban professionals, and you heard it here from Kevin of Gifted Apparel. Use your peers as resources. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because nepotism is how everyone in the majority of the business world grows. They share resources with one another, and sometimes they give cuts or whatever you got to do, but negotiate. Don't be afraid to ask, at least.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask anybody for anything. Like, you might see somebody on social media who they have an urban streetwear brand, or they do accessories, or they do anything. They do graphic design and photography, and you're looking at what they're doing now. I would suggest you take it upon yourself to spend time researching what it is that they're doing and picking it apart on your own. But then why not DM? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Like, they're either not going to answer, or they're going to say no, or they're going to say yes. And if they say yes, then you win. So ask anybody, DM anybody, DM Spike Lee. Ask him.
I do. He haven't responded. But that's with your peers. Well, how about with the next generation coming up after, with the younger urban professionals who are coming up? What type of advice or things that you probably feel like held you back before that you would speak to them about now?
I don't know about help me back, but I would say this: I take myself very seriously. I've been told I'm too serious. I take myself very, very seriously. When it comes to anything that I'm doing, like, I just don't play around. I don't show up late. I don't do late. I don't do half-ass. I focus on, even if what I'm doing comes out wrong, at that moment, it was still the best I could possibly do. And that's what I focus on. Be the best you could possibly be. Waking up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon is not you being the best you could possibly be. You hanging out nonstop. We call them networking events, but a lot of times it's just parties, and it's like a lot of times it's just happy hour, which is fine. But if you're going 3-4 times a week, then how much time can you really be putting? How much quality time can you really be putting into your brand if you're going out all the time or spending all your money at the bar or on clothing? There's nothing wrong with that. You have a degree and you have a great career, and that's wonderful. I love people who have great careers or people who want to grow within bigger companies. But if you want to do something on your own and take things into your own hand, then you're going to have to be the most serious person you ever met in your life.
Wow. I think that's really powerful and really insightful.
Stay focused and be your number one fan.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, who else going to believe in you?
Yeah.
Right? And you teach people how to treat you. So if you late all the time and you just not taking things serious, that's how people are going to take you. If you decide you want to come out with your own show or your own t-shirt line or whatever it is, people can be like, oh, that's the person that's always doing this. Nobody don't care.
How do you respond to being an urban profession entrepreneur with the, hey, where's my shirt? Where's my discount? Where's my, it's this overarching thing in the urban community when you're of the land, as you are very popular, everyone knows you, and you come out with this brand, and now all your friends or anyone you've ever met in life is kind of like, yo, where's my free stuff? How do you handle that?
I mean, to be honest with you, that's not important. I don't think about that. I mean, if I have something, if I have extra stuff, like, yeah, if it's like friends or family, but for the most part, everybody who I know, and especially friends and family, like, you're gonna, they've supported, you know, at one point in time. They've bought my clothes a dozen times. So, you know, if they say, yo, I need something to wear, if it's like a friend or a cousin, I'm like, well, I have some stuff in my apartment you come pick up. But I don't really focus on that. Like, you will get that once in a while person who you don't know, like, oh, where my shirt at? It's like, I think.
Do you have like a tool in your vocabulary arsenal to, like, for entrepreneurs to say? Like, what do you say?
Well,
you know, because some people don't know how to navigate that situation.
Anybody watching this that knows me will laugh, because what I always say is, I got you. Like, I got you.
Wow.
I got you. Because in my opinion, what I think it truly is they don't actually want a free shirt. They want to say something to you, and they don't know what to say. They don't know what to say. They just want to interact with you on some level. It could be a million different reasons. It could be because they want to do something too, or they just respect what you're doing. And a lot of times we have a hard time expressing how we feel, you know, so they just want to say something. That's how I take it most of the time. People just want to talk. They want to interact with you. So I interact with them. It's like, yo, what's up? I got you, man.
I guess that's what makes you a good businessman.
I try my best.
Right. Take that. And welcome him to the tribe.
Hello. That's time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
This is Kevin Bennett. You can find Gifted Apparel at giftedapparelnyc.com. My major social media is Instagram, so you can always find me at Gifted Apparel NYC. I'm Gifted Apparel on Instagram. All things gifted. I'm Gifted Apparel NYC. Peace, man.